Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down one of the biggest, most audacious financial bets in the history of tech. Seriously, this is a plan so massive it could totally reshape our future or, become the biggest bubble we have ever seen. So let's start with a number that's, it's pretty hard to even wrap your head around. Over $1 trillion. That's a 1 with 12 zeros after it. Just let that sink in for a second. And this is the amount OpenAI has committed to spending to build the future of AI. It just raises this unbelievable question. How on earth is one company going to pay for all of that? So, okay, where is all this money even going? This isn't just some number on a spreadsheet. It's a commitment to build something on a scale that is, frankly, unprecedented. See, this isn't some vague promise. It is a very concrete plan to buy a staggering amount of computing capacity over the next 10 years. We're talking about the raw digital horsepower you need to build the world's most advanced artificial intelligence. And to really get a sense of the physical scale of this digital dream, think about this. The computing power OpenAI needs requires the same amount of energy as about 20 nuclear reactors. Yeah. This isn't just about silicon chips. It's about a colossal, real-world demand for power. But here's the thing. To cover these kinds of colossal costs, you need a colossal income. And when you actually look at OpenAI's books, that's where the story gets really, really interesting. This financial challenge is stark. On one side, you have this trillion-dollar mountain of spending commitments. And on the other, you have this tiny, little sliver representing their current annual revenue. The gap between what they've promised to spend and what they're actually bringing in is it's staggering. And get this, even though their revenue is doubling, they are burning through cash at an astonishing rate. We're talking losing about $8 billion in just the first half of the year. So the more they grow, the more they spend. And right now, the spending is definitely winning. At the heart of their business model is this classic freemium problem, right? They've got this massive global user base for ChatGPT, but a mind-boggling 95% of them don't pay a single dime. Only a tiny fraction are actually paying subscribers. So their most immediate focus is pretty simple, but it's also incredibly difficult. They need to double the percentage of people paying for subscriptions, from 5% to 10%. It's really the first crucial step in trying to close that trillion-dollar gap. So, how are they going to do it? Let's move on to the master plan and see how this all builds towards solving their trillion-dollar problem. Their 5-year plan is basically a multi-pronged attack on this financial challenge. It really breaks down into 3 core strategies: find new ways to make money, get creative with borrowing money, and then launch entirely new businesses from scratch. First up, they have to diversify. They simply cannot rely on just ChatGPT subscriptions. The plan is to push into those high-value enterprise and government contracts, make money from new stuff like the Sora video generator, build e-commerce tools, and even explore future bets in advertising and hardware. Next, they're starting to think more like a bank than a tech company. The idea is to use their partners to cover these massive upfront costs. And by making these huge deals, they can prove to lenders that they're a safe bet for taking on debt, which opens the door to all kinds of new ways to finance their ambition. Now, this third part of the plan is easily the most ambitious. They don't just want to use computing power, they want to become a supplier of it. The model here is Amazon, right? Just like Jeff Bezos built the multi-billion-dollar AWS out of the infrastructure he'd already built for his retail site, OpenAI wants to do the exact same thing for AI. But, a plan this ambitious, this expensive, it is also incredibly risky, which leads us to the high-stakes nature of this entire gamble. And this creates a fundamental tension. Inside OpenAI, there's this core belief. If you have more computing power, that will directly translate to more revenue. But outside the company, the sheer scale of the spending is stoking some serious fears of an AI-fueled financial bubble. And in a remarkably candid admission, a senior executive acknowledged that even with their 5-year model, the future is still, and I quote, fuzzy. They know the path forward isn't clear. They're basically building the plane while they're flying it. CEO Sam Altman put it even more bluntly. He basically said that becoming profitable is not in my top 10 concerns. The company's focus isn't on the bottom line. It's on growth, it's on power, and it's on winning the race to build the world's leading AI, no matter what it costs. And beyond the financial risks, the practical hurdles are just immense. Sourcing that much power is a global challenge.
2/3 of their cost is just for semiconductors, which puts them totally at the mercy of that supply chain. And critics are pointing to these circular deals, where OpenAI basically uses an investor's money to immediately buy that same investor's products.
So after looking at the grand plan, the massive numbers, and the incredible risks, what does all of this actually mean for the future of AI? At the end of the day, this isn't just about OpenAI. Their success or their failure is going to send shockwaves through the entire economy. This trillion-dollar bet could either supercharge the future of AI for all of us, or it could trigger a really painful market correction if it all comes crashing down. And that leaves us with the ultimate question. Is what we're watching the necessary, audacious investment it takes to build the future? Or is it the peak of the hype, the biggest financial bubble tech has ever seen? Only time is going to tell.